What's coming up on today's Cowboys Report? Some praise for Mike McCarthy, cut candidates to make room for whenever the team decides to activate Peyton Hendershot. Micah Parsons is not slowing down, and one underrated effort I also want to make sure we get some praise to coming out of the Panthers game. Before we do all that, we are 360 subs away from 173K. Can we get there before kickoff of the Thanksgiving game? I think it'd be pretty cool. We'll be live for that, by the way, as well. Hit that sub button right now. Before we get to all that injury news, don't worry about Osa, Turpin. They're fine. Cowboys didn't practice today. It was going to be a walkthrough day. Terence, Steele, CeeDee, Lamb listed as limited. Both guys played in the football game. They played through it. I am not worried about it. They'll give it some extra reps and some breathing room, etc. I am not concerned. We'll see what happens, Wednesday, etc. But I think both guys are going to be fine. Lamb was walking a little bit slow. I think he was in a little bit of pain, but he played through it. So I have low concern. Mike McCarthy has low concern. Do want to mention it. Don't panic. Two players did not participate in what was the walkthrough, quote unquote. Jayron Kearse and Rico Dowdle. These are two team players to monitor a bit closely. We've seen Jayron Kearse miss some time at practice and then still end up playing. Rico Dowdle, I kind of thought he was going to be DNP no matter what. He kind of played through that injury. Should be fine as well, but we will know more as the week goes on. So overall, noteworthy, but not panic-worthy. Since the bye / since the Chargers game to a slightly lesser extent, the Cowboys have made significant changes to their offense. And these moves, pretty much unanimously, have been for the better. Now, the Wildcat stuff against Carolina, maybe not so much, but everything beyond that, I think, has led to better results. Mike McCarthy has done a good job this season. And yes, to be fair, what matters is the playoffs. But what we've seen so far, the changes Mike have made, I think are for the best. And I've been plenty hard on McCarthy as the Cowboys head coach and frustrated like so many, because fair or not, this entire current team bears the brunt of 28 years of sins from this Cowboys organization. But he does deserve praise for the changes. He could have very easily said, nope, I'm going to do it my way. I'm not going to listen to the criticisms, from the feedback from some of my players, coaching staff, etc. We're going to stick with slant flats nonstop. Here are the things I have liked. They have increased their motion usage. They have been really good in that area. They've gone from not very good to above average there. They are allowing Dak Prescott to deal, letting him cook and throw it down more, or throw it more downfield, which has been for the best, because that is how this offense wins right now. And most importantly, they're taking plays and designs and concepts from other smart coaches. You remember that inside zone toss play they did with Tony Pollard? That is direct copy-paste from the 49ers game plans. Like, that is what they do. That is a verbatim Shanahan staple of the inside zone toss. They've taken what I call it that cheat motion, when they send the receiver or tight end out wide and they sprint upfield, taken directly from Mike McDaniel this year. I call it cheat motion because that's what Kyle Shanahan called it. It's everywhere right now in the NFL, very popular, but the Cowboys are getting in on the trends, and that makes them a better offense as a result. So grade Mike McCarthy this year. A, B, C, D, or F. It is the pinned comment on today's video. If the ad comes here on YouTube, it's fine. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. A, B, C, D, or F. Let's talk Micah Parsons, who I think pretty clearly is not slowing down, despite what might have been a theory, story, headline leading into the Panthers game. A, he torched the Panthers' bad offensive line for 2.5 sacks. The stat sheet watchers are going to be like, okay, he's back, he's playing well, whatever. For the season, in 10 games played, if you're averaging a sack per game, you're probably doing something right as a defender. 12 tackles for loss, and I would say even most importantly, despite consistently getting doubled and tripled teamed, he's averaging nearly 21% pressure rate. That is unbelievably high. When you're winning and getting pressure every fifth time you run, knowing not every single snap is going to be a full-on blitz and it's a passer's play because you're out there on 2nd and 4 and it ends up being a pass play, crazy impressive. Here is the pressure rate by game. 23% against the Giants, 19.4 against the Jets, 17 against Arizona. He cooked the Patriots, 37%. That's absurd. Bad game against the Niners, 6.9, which is nice, but also not nearly nice enough. 16.3 against the Chargers, 20% against the Rams, 22.2% against the Eagles, and 21.1% against the Giants, which that's when, is he slowing down because he didn't have any sacks. They make a stat sheet because the Cowboys used him differently, but still generated pressures. That's actually very consistent. It's not slowing down. It's being steady and solid. And then he had 30% against Carolina. All of these are insane pressure rates. Like a good player, if you're getting a pressure rate 15% of the time, you're going to kind of be in the Pro Bowl conversation more often than not. And Micah, 15% is a bad game for him. It's absurd how good he is in that area. So this year, only on what they've done this season, who has been the best player on the Cowboys? Several options here. I think Deron Bland is in that conversation. CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Dak Prescott's played super well. Brandon Aubrey might be an all-pro kicker this season. Who has been the best player on the Cowboys this year? Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. I'm a big fan of Prize Picks. I like that it's just you against the numbers. You are not battling thousands of other players, the pros, the sharks, etc. It's just more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you watch the winnings roll in. You can mix and match NFL, college football, NFL, NBA over the course of a day or a week or whatever. Have some fun doing it there. And I love the flex play. Unfortunately, the flex play did not save me this week. I had 5 straight Sunday flex plays in a row. I got Stroud right. I felt so good about CeeDee Lamb, and then they didn't get him going. And then Sam Howell against the bad Giants defense had another pick down the stretch. Came up 5 yards short, or 4.5 yards short, I should say, to getting that one there. So didn't quite get it done, but I've been on a heater, and I'm playing with plenty of money thanks to our deal from Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. I wanted to check in on the Peyton Hendershot status. He is eligible to come off of IR at any point. He was designated to return from injured reserve last week, has begun practicing. He says he's good to go. Cowboys have not brought him back yet. I guess there's a chance they bring him back this week, but on the short week, I would guess that since we're going to get to the first week on Wednesday, then if it's second week and third week beyond that, probably more likely before the Seahawks game or after the Seahawks game, he ends up coming back. Also buys the Cowboys time to potentially, which you don't want to have, but have something pop up to where there's an open roster spot that you wouldn't have to potentially cut somebody. Because as of right now, somebody would have to go off the active roster. You saw last week, Le'Veon Fehoko had a knee issue and then was placed on IR because they were managing the numbers the way smart teams do. So name a player who you think gets cut to make room for Peyton Hendershot when he returns. I've got 5 guys we'll get to here momentarily, but I want to hear from you in the comments section. First one is going to be Sean McEwen, the tight end, who, look, do you need 4 tight ends on the roster? I'm not so sure. Now, McEwen helps you on special teams. That's a factor in this conversation. But McEwen is tight end 3 right now, and I think would become tight end 4 whenever Hendershot ends up returning. He's an okay blocker. I think he's better than Hendershot in that area. But if you're going to bring back Peyton, you don't necessarily need 4 tight ends. Other players who have not been active as of late also stand out. There's Eric Scott Jr., the cornerback, who has yet to play in a single football game this season, the regular season, I guess I should say, for the Cowboys. But Dallas loves their draft picks. They traded up to get Eric Scott, which makes me think if they decide to not, keep him on the active roster, I tweaked his knee, his ankle at practice, got to go to IR now. Wouldn't be shocked if that was the case there. Noah Igbinoghene, meanwhile, the cornerback. Kind of a similar boat right now. He hasn't played for the Cowboys since that 49ers game. When Deshaun Wright came off of injured reserve, he immediately surpassed Igbinoghene as a cornerback option. They've been playing Israel Mukuamu more. He's even got some outside cornerback reps, by the way, too. So I wouldn't, You can cut him, but you're not going to save any money because his deal's already fully guaranteed. Deuce Vaughn falls into the Eric Scott combo, although at least he's played more than Scott has this season. But he's kind of only active right now if KaVontae Turpin isn't. Cowboys view that role as a little bit too similar as a return man and just doesn't offer enough non-return special teams. But again, Cowboys love their draft picks. Tyrus Wheat, meanwhile, I think of the 4 guys on this list, would be the easiest to get to the practice squad. Maybe Odighizuwa gets down there as well if you wanted to as a veteran, kind of like Kelvin Joseph got cut and wasn't claimed by anybody. Wheat's a UDFA, hasn't done really anything on defense this year, only contributes on special teams. Dallas fully values him in that role, but if you bring back Hendershot, he would also probably be active in playing on special teams from that perspective. Some unlikely cuts then for the Dallas Cowboys. Awesome Richards, he's a draft pick offensive lineman. You simply cannot cut those guys. Jalen Brooks, the wide receiver. He's actually been playing some of the. And Nashawn Wright, I want to mention him as the other cornerback option, but I wouldn't be too concerned on that front. Do want to give one more player some love here, and that is Luke Schoonmaker, sticking on the tight end standpoint here. He had, I think, pretty clearly was his best game ever as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. Caught 2 passes for 23 yards, had a touchdown, and also very much under the radar, by the way, had a really good run-blocking game. He was effective, efficient, and solid in that area, and I think that should not be overlooked. Now, I don't want my second pick to just be a good run blocker, but for contributing now, that's how you're going to get help in that category.